Welcome back to the third episode of How to Be a Better series. Today we are going to be covering support. I'm playing with my friend Chapo. He's going to be my carry for an example today's matches. Right now we're going to cover the first basic concepts of support, cover positioning, cover how to do the laning phase, then essentially into the mid game and then the late game, what you should be focusing on, who you should be around, who you should be supporting, and essentially how to play around the map, especially when you're kind of glued together with your carry at all times. Sometimes it's okay to branch out, sometimes it's okay to stay with your carry. It really depends on each scenario, especially if you're losing or you're winning. Hopefully, this video will cover all the questions and cover any scenario that people may come up with and may ask during the live stream. This is recorded live during a Twitch and TikTok live broadcast. So if you're interested, go ahead and check the links below in the description to my Twitch and to my TikTok. Anyways, let's get started with the video, and we're going to cover first in an AI match, then in a regular match, and we're going to cover the basics and all that. So let's jump right into it. All right, so once you're selecting your dual lane, you basically want to go any character you really want. I always prefer to counter pick a lot of the heroes. If there's a lot of squishy targets, you want to be a bigger tank target, or sorry, a tank hero, because now you kind of have to sustain a lot more damage. The squishier they are, relatively the higher damage they do. So for this prime example, I know that a lot of melee heroes struggle rather than ranged heroes in the support lane. So if you're interested, I would recommend going a melee for this for most games. Richter and Steel are probably like one of the best heroes in the game at the moment. Narbash is a great pick as well. If you're going to more of a ranged, it really depends on your playstyle. If you want to go more of the shields as Muriel, maybe if you want to go more damage as a mage, that's perfectly okay. Or you want to go a healer like Zinx or FaZe. If you want to be more setting up for stuns and cages, definitely Decker's the way to go. It really depends on your playstyle. Me personally, I love Richter, and I love Decker a lot. And sometimes if needed, I will go a mage, just so I could secure the win and scale in the end game with damage. For this video right now and test purposes, we're going to do Richter. I think he's one of the most commonly picked heroes at the very moment. And I suggest getting good with melee heroes. Melee heroes in the support lane typically have a rough time against ranged supports. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, so that's why we're going to go with Richter here. And we're going to kind of cover what to do and how to practically stay alive and keep our farm and keep our carry alive. The main important part is keeping your carry ahead, especially in the support lane. As far as crests go, a lot of people like to pick the Guardian crest for Sanctification or Rift Walkers instead of a lot of team fights. But as well, you can go to the Consort crest and give yourself a heal, a cleanse, and Silentium. Now, if you ask me, personally, my favorite is the Consort crest. The reason I say this is because you get a free silence. Silence is like mainly the one I go for like 100% of the time. Sometimes I'll go heal if needed, but it's mainly silence and cleanse. If they have like a Faye or big CC ult like Gideon, and you know, gadget at 2, you could go like cleanse. I do recommend Silentium though, because you can stun or silence the Gideon out of their ult, you can silence a Mortgage out of their ult, you can silence a lot of people out of their ults, and it comes in pretty clutch. And I'll kind of show that by example by today. So when you're starting off as support, you can either go like a real support items, or you can go more of a tank items. Personally, me, I like to go more of tank because they scale the best in the late game. Okay. So the beginning of the game normally is pretty slow. Most of the time, you'll see your carry try to outpoke the opposite laners. For example, if these wave of minions are coming towards us, they're going to start pushing up on us. Sometimes we'll back up to our tower. And if you have those little orbs around you, it's probably your crest that you probably need to hit some minions. You can do that by either getting close, getting in, hitting your minions, getting your orbs, and then backing out. You want to avoid any poke and any unnecessary damage that you can get from the opposite laners. Or you can also get your orbs by either trying to land a pull, getting your orbs doing a little bit of damage, and then they back off somehow as they escape, and we lose that fight or we win that fight. Preferably, you always want to try to win that fight, and when you're doing this, you want to focus the same person that your carry is focusing. As if, for example, he just killed the carry, and now, since this Decker is alone, we're probably going to fight together and try to kill her, or try to get her out of her lane, or try to get her blink out. Since this is AI, more than likely, she's not going to blink and she's just going to die. But in the real game, you'll encounter people trying to blink out or running away under the tower, and they somehow manage to escape, which is completely fine. The early game is all about maintaining that early lead, letting your carry get that CS, be ahead of the opposite laner. As for now, you want to keep your wards. A good few places to ward, for me personally, is right there. You get the cover of the entrance of Fangtooth, and you get the entrance of the stairs. Sometimes when you're trying to rotate, you can also cover around here, exactly like that. And then sometimes, if you really are ahead on the lane, and if you're pushing this, and you're at the tower right here, a good place to ward is like right in this central area. It covers the stairs, and it covers the angle on this side. Especially when you pushed up and winning the lane, that's very important because you can actually see the enemy jungler. And if you're really, really careful and really up ahead, really early, where they're not even clearing their red, you can even ward their camp. So if you know they're on their camp, because when they de-ward, they normally clear this side of the lane. Sometimes they'll clear the wards down here or by the fog wall. Now let's say the minions push up all the way to our tower, and we're vulnerable at this very state. You can also ward right here by your 3 camp or your 2 camp right here in the jungle, just so you can see them going around and trying to gank you. So that covers pretty much the warding scenario. You always want to put them up whenever you can. Once your crest evolves, you eventually get a better wards, and each time you go to the base, they refresh. So that's always neat. At this point in the game, you kind of want to just keep farming and eventually look for hooks. You will get bullied by the ranged support. Try to avoid unnecessary damage, but at the same time, if they mess up any of their abilities, like a Decker stun or a Decker jump, and they waste it, go for a pull, do a little bit of damage, and focus the same person that your carry is focusing. If your carry focuses the other carry out of random, we start focusing the carry. You always want to target whoever your carry is targeting, because the person you want to kill the most is going to be the person your carry is targeting. And it just makes it easier, because once that person's dead, that's an extra damage that you won't have to be dealing with. Now you may be wondering, when's a good time to back? Normally when you clear this lane and you got both of the kills on the support lane, or if they backed and they left, you can push this lane up, help your carry. Try to avoid taking last hits like I'm doing right now. For each minion you kind of take, your crest kind of punishes you for that. You lose diminishing gold, or you start diminishing gold, which kind of sucks, but it's a way of support. Go ahead and grab gold whenever they're backing, or if they're low and you know they can't contest. If the dual lane does contest and they come by over here, try to fight them. But you normally want to back at the same time as your carry. If you're both low, or if you both have enough money to buy a new item, I would definitely recommend grouping up and just backing at the same time, so that when you come back to the lane, you have fresh, full of health, fresh new items, and you're ready for another push. Support overall is not really a hard topic to cover. There's a lot of little niche things that people prefer. You can be an aggressive support, you can be a passive support. It really depends on what your carry prefers. Regardless of my carry, I still like to be the most aggressive support, because it just kind of allows you to set up for more things. As far as positioning goes, as a melee, of course you're going to get bullied, but you always want to be in front of your carry. You want to take as many hits as you can from your carry, so that way you lose HP and they don't. I just got stunned, that's fine, but you always want to body block. Say my carry does have low HP and he starts running away, starts getting poked, you always want to body block for him, kind of avoid the damage, tank it a little bit, and if you end up dying, that's okay. I prefer the support dying over the carry, because the carry is going to be the one carrying the game, obviously said in the name. The support is going to be his support. You're going to take some bullets sometimes, and sometimes you're just going to leave him to die at times, just because scenario doesn't benefit two deaths. If you know he's dead and he's a goner, like 1 HP, and he's getting ganked up by the jungler and the dual lane, and there's really nothing you can truly do about it, then just leave. It's okay to leave him sometimes. Try not to add too many deaths to the carry. Don't feed the carry, right? You don't want to feed the enemy carry. That's a no-no. But essentially, you just want to keep the lane momentum. Like I said, priority, you always want to go for the carry. If the carry somehow escapes, just switch targets. Whoever's closer to your carry is going to be the best selection. Just like that. And then whenever you get the chance and you're ahead, you'll probably see your jungler take the Fang Tooth. Just go ahead and rotate. Sometimes your carry will not show up because he's going to clear his wave on his lane. But since you're available and the enemy dual lane already backed off, you're more than welcome to go help the jungler take over the Fang Tooth. That pretty much helps the jungler and your team stay ahead. So I definitely recommend that if you have the availability to. As right now in this example, this lane is going to crash right now. My carry back, which is perfectly fine at this moment. 8 minutes and 32 seconds. The armor and the turrets are going to go down very, very soon. At this point, you know the dual lane's here and your carry's not back. If you see something available in the mid lane or in the jungle being invaded, you can go definitely help that. I would just say just don't take too long. You can probably just come into the mid lane, help your mid lane get a little bit of damage, maybe like a pool, maybe not. Just make them blink away, use whatever escape. Try to scare the mid laner, take some damage, it's fine. Have your mid laner do a little bit of a damage to the enemy mid laner. And then essentially, you could probably pick up a river camp for your mid laner if they're gone, and go back to the support lane. I live by the rule by sticking to your carry like 85% of the time. There's only like a 20% chance that you're going to have to leave. But majority of the game, you want to stick around your carry. That is the most efficient way to pretty much win the game. Because the more you keep carry alive, the more you can technically win the game. Just staying next to them will help them so much. One stun, one pull, one silence, one cage can like make the game so much easier for your carry to scale and get you the W, to be honest. Around this time, like we said in the other videos, like in the off lane video, around 10 minutes, the tower will be going down. And you can pretty much start rotating at this point after you've taken down the tower. You've already beat the dual lane. We're up 8-0 against this carry and support. We go and take that last gold buff. And then we can either back, fire stuff, and we can look for another objective. Depending on how the lane is being pushed, or if it's not being pushed at all, you can really go take any objective you want, such as Fang Tooth or Mini Orb, especially in this early game. So at this point, 10 minutes in, you're taking down the tower. Go look for another objective. Group up with your carry. Go look for a gank in mid, or even an invade in the jungle. You know that the jungle's inside their red camp. Go ahead and invade them, or go mid and do a gank with your carry. Honestly, this is probably the most efficient way to keep your lead, because if you just keep slow farming on left, you're not going to get as much as you would getting kills for your team. Not only does it help you, but it also helps your other teammates. Okay, so I have a question here for one of my TikTok viewers, Kyle. He says, is it Richter's job to be aggressive, pull and set up fights, or play defense for the carry in the early game? Well, it really depends on your playstyle. Me personally, as Richter, I like to be really aggressive. A lot of people predict pulls, so it's kind of challenging. But if you know you can land your pull, or when they're fighting, you can be like unsuspecting on them. You always want to try to pull them when they're not focused on you. Like say you're like autoing minions for your orb, then you can go in for a pull. Or you can just go straight in. And what I like to do as a strategy is I use my AoE electric, and then use my ult to get in close. And then I use my pull for last when they're trying to escape. That's probably like the best time to use it, because when they're not paying attention when they're running at all, they're going to be focusing on getting out, and that's when they're running in a straight line, and then bam, you pull the pool, and you more than likely will secure it. There's different ways you can definitely play Richter. You don't always have to pull initially. You can always just do this. Silence, be a little bit of annoying Richter, go for the ult, and then if they're running, when they're not paying attention, you can pull them, you know? Unfortunately, I got stunned once again. And yeah, and then if you're in the scenario where you're like, oh, you can't secure them, you can just leave, you know? Okay, so now you're in the mid game. A lot of the stuff is going to be available. You kill their the dual lane often. And at this point, if you are ahead, you can contest the Fangtooth, get the jungle. As a support, like I mentioned this in almost every video, as a support, even then, you'll always want to focus the squishiest characters, not the junglers, unless the jungler is taking an objective, which you can do for a stun or a silence, which is perfect for you to do. But in this case, like if you're taking Fangtooth and they show up and they're contesting you as your carry and your jungler in the Fangtooth pit, I'd highly recommend focusing the squishiest heroes, such as the Gideon or the mid laner, to be exact. The mid laner or the off laner or the carry. Primarily the mid laner and carry. Use your ult, use your stuns, use your silences, and all that jazz. And getting the carries and the mid laners out of the picture is probably the easiest way to go about team fights, especially as a support. As always, focus the same person that your carry is focusing, and if your carry's in trouble, make sure to immediately turn and help them. Keeping your carry alive is going to win you like 90% of your team fights. Super important. Even your mid lane, you can even try to help your mid lane if your carry's doomed. Now that I got Silentium, I kind of want to show a prime example of when like people are going to jump on your team, and you can essentially silence them out of their ults. In this case, say this Gideon's like coming out, and then he's gonna probably ult, which I doubt he's gonna do because it's AI. Hopefully we can bait out the ult. I doubt he's gonna do it. Hopefully. No. Anyways, he ults. You can silence and silence them out of their ult. If you silence them out of their ult, you can follow up with an ult. Then you can do a pull, and then you can do another silence. That's almost 4 different ways to turn down any CC or any carry that you encounter. Now let's put into a scenario that your carry is actually feeding and dying 24/7, and there's nothing you can do about it. I know sometimes you have to stick around your carry. Sometimes it's okay to leave them if they're not performing well and play around like your mid lane or your jungle. I've done it a few times. Say that my carry is, instead of being 10-0, he's 0-10. Let him farm on his own. Let him split push. Let him farm for a little bit. He may not be in the fights, but at that point, you can go definitely help your mid laner and be your mid laner support and help them out the most. You know, give them the stuns, give them the support, keep them alive, and get them out of any scenario. And you can just basically play around the mid lane. As much as you don't want to leave your carry, like 90% of the time, it's okay to do so sometimes. You know, some people have bad games, and it's completely okay. You just want to try to get your carry up ahead again if you can, set up some kills for them. But if they just can't perform well, you know, that's just the luck of the draw. That's just how the game goes. And just play about whoever you can who's going to have the high burst of damage. The squishiest characters are going to be the ones that need the most defending. And yeah, that's pretty much essentially it. So now we're going to end this game and hop into a real match now that we covered mainly all the basics. All right, guys, now we're back in a real match. I'm playing with Chapo. I'm playing Richter, and he's playing Sparrow. We're going against a Paragon and 2 other diamonds, but we got 2 Paragons, and I'm the diamond as well. Actually, they're 2 plats, but whatever. This is going to be a really good game to get some experience on, because there's a lot of the higher elo players, and we're going to kind of see how this goes. We're going to play it off the bat. If you're watching this, then we more than likely will won the game. Okay, we're in the game, and as I mentioned before, Consort Crest, get the Silentium and or heal or cleanse. That's going to be the best way to go about it. I like to build tanky. Get some pulls and get some stuns and silences in the way. We are going against some pretty good players. So we got to be careful. We got to be pretty smart of how we play these out. So at the beginning of the game, most players will either be hiding behind this fog wall, waiting for a random push on us, or sometimes they'll be all the way at the tower, waiting for the first minion wave, and maybe even lurking on your blue side. Sometimes you'll have the jungler go to your blue. Sometimes your jungler will have you ward your blue, and just to protect it from any enemy invade. At very early game, you have one ward, but you have 85 seconds till the next one comes. You can either drop it behind you or in the mid. I like to hold on to it for a little bit until it gets closer to the timer. So just in case the first one gets destroyed, you can place another one right after. Per usual, let's play a little bit slow. Gotta go for a pull. We land a pull. Do a little bit of poke. Take some damage, back out. Have a good trade. Kind of play safely here. As you can see, my orb's up, so I'm gonna try to maybe get my orb off. But if it's risking me to get damage, I don't want to do it. Try to go for another pool and fail it. That's completely okay. Let's upgrade our silence here. So if we get the pull, we can silence them to prevent them from instantly blinking out if they're really close to dying. Sozo, thank you so much for this sub for 2 months in a row. Just gonna keep poking. Unfortunately, I can't get any orbs in this situation, but I could probably bait something out. Unfortunately, I missed. You can back off, heal a little bit. At this point, the jungler is on the opposite side. We can just pretty much just play it fine here. We can play it aggressive if we need to, but if we don't need to, it's completely fine. We can hold our E. Push up. Pull the pool. Back away. Don't need to blink. We got the enemy carry blink off. And we're good to go. I do have a question here. Can you explain what to do when your ADC has to back while you're still good to continue? Yeah, for sure. When your ADC has to back and the minion waves are being pushed against you at your tower, just play passively at your tower base, like so. And careful, we got a body block for him here. Back off a little bit. I'm a little hurt. As soon as the minions are coming back to your tower, play it passively, and essentially you just can last it if you need to. Or if they leave and the minions are pushed against you, you can walk out of your tower and hold the minions for you. I'm really low on HP. I can't really help for this fight, but our jungler is going to show up. No blink here. I don't think he needs us here, does he? Very nice. Try to follow up on whatever you can do. And then obviously you want to freeze the wave. If you don't know what that means, freezing the wave is allowing your carry to just simply last hit on the side of your tower. So the minions basically fight each other and will each other down, and they miss out on XP for every minion death on your end. Okay, now we are back in the lane. I've backed. My carry was farming slowly. This is what I mean. If we don't back at the same time, sometimes we're going to be a little bit delayed on our push, but that's completely okay because now you can just soak up the XP that whatever you missed and let it fall. under your tower, select this XP. We see my junglers coming in for a gank. We can probably push up. Do a little bit of damage, help your carry, help my jungler. The support's gonna try to kill me. And she gets me, but it's okay. Our jungler got the kill and or a carry, and it works out. Okay, so I have a question here. Got a question for support. Is there a level of importance when it comes to matching support to carry? For example, FaZe and Sparrow complement each other versus like FaZe and Rev. Now that's a great question. Me personally, I like to counter pick the enemy heroes, while complementing your carry is the best way to go about like your own team comp. That's great. That's an important factor. You can definitely go something that complements your carry, or you can do something that counters the enemy team. So for example, if they have heavy CC ults like Gideon, I'm trying to think of other ones, Richter and Steel, it's okay to get somebody that can CC lock them and prevent them from getting those ults off in team fights instead of complementing something on your carry. But yeah, that's something definitely to consider. Like Sparrow is great with FaZe, and it's perfectly perfect with Decker as well, even Richter as well, but like gets the most off of FaZe, right? If you're interested in doing like good combos, I definitely recommend Richter and Drongo. 2 silences and a constant burst from your Drongo is probably one of the best way to go. So that's a great question. Prevent them. Can you explain about early game items you're using for a specific opponent? Of course. Counter building is really important in this game. The reason I'm going tank items and like beefier items rather than support items is because you gain more of a benefit in the end game if necessary to become a tank if your jungle fails to do so, or if your offlane fails to do so. I like to be reliable like 100% of the time, so I will go something that will benefit me to the end game. Hence why I go Fire Blossom, Warden's Fate, Tainted Guard. Just be a big beefy wall dividing you, or dividing your carry and the enemy carry. That's like the best way to go about it. Since they're low, we can definitely attack Fangtooth. They're going to have to back up. They can't contest. We group up with our carry. We group up with our jungler. And we take up this Fangtooth. Anybody that shows up, you preferably want to position yourself closest to the stairs. Because if you need to, you would definitely need to ult the carry or the jungler or the mid laner that tries to appear. You want to be the wall between them and your team as a support. It's the best way to go about it. And you want to kind of provide peel for your team. What I mean by peel is like getting them off of whoever they're targeting, or prevent them from targeting somebody on your team, preferably the squishier people. So far, this game is very tame. We haven't really encountered any huge team fights or enemy ganks from the jungler or from the mid lane, which may change very, very soon because we are very ahead on our jungler side, our mid lane side, and our carry side. Here's another question that somebody asked. When would you say is the best time to split away from your carry? Is there a good time? Yeah, there's definitely scenarios where you definitely want to peel away from your carry. Personally, I don't like to stay away from my carry longer than a minute, but if necessary, if they're rotating like they are doing so now, you want to follow them and go help your mid laner that's going to be ganked, or whoever's going to be attacked. So for this example, we're kind of leaving the dual lane and trying to go for a counter gank. We can group up here. Try to keep an eye on your carry and make sure she doesn't get jumped, or he doesn't get jumped, and prevent this. Look at this. We're gonna go for an invade. Our carry's in mid. Our jungle's invading. He's kind of looking out for something. I'm gonna go in on the mid. Unfortunately, I missed my ult, and I missed my pool. But we're gonna still go in and try to do our best. Okay, we're going left. Our dual lane's going that way as well. And that's the pull on that. That's the blink out. Sometimes that happens, man. Sometimes you miss your ults. Sometimes you don't land your pulls. It's completely okay, man. We can probably take this tower since we're ahead. Chris had a question about items. I think I already covered it. I already answered it. I don't know if you heard me. Oh, shit. Unfortunately, our carry dies. There's really not much I can do for him. But we got the retaliation on the mid lane. And it's kind of unfortunate. Okay, so now we're going back to the lane after that unfortunate death from our carry. He's feeding. Just kidding. He's my friend. But, yeah, we're just going to play this out and see what we can do. A lot of our lanes are ahead. At this point, you could leave your carry for a little bit longer since he's ahead of slow farming. For example, right now he's pushing up the lane and people are fighting on right. I can probably show up and help real quick. Prevent their dual lane from succeeding on a possible gank. You can also go push like the mid lane, push it up real quick for them. Since you know your mid lane's gonna back. After that right push, which is what they're doing right now, you can ward in the enemy jungle. Get a ward here, get a ward on red, get a ward even down here. We see that the carry is having a 1v1. Let's go make it a 2v1 instead. We're gonna go around the long way to prevent them from escaping and catch them by surprise. And just like that, we catch them by surprise. We can win this lane and push it up. And there we go. You always want to try to get that jungler off of your carry and push it up as much as you can. Oh, we can just leave and go to Fangtooth. Like I said, you don't want to leave your carry. You can always just go with your carry. Sometimes you will be able to split push if you're big and beefy and tanky and doing a little bit of damage and really ahead of the other people. But that's rarely the occasion. So we got a question. I kind of covered this a little bit on the AI, but I can definitely recover it again. Most of the times you want to ward objectives. You can ward the Fangtooth. You can ward the stairs in this point right here. You can do a deep pocket ward right here where your enemy jungler is going to appear. And sometimes, which is a predictable spot, you would put it right here. Or if you're really pushed and they keep ganking you guys, you can put it back here. So there's pretty good amount of locations, but you want to keep them near the objectives and etc. Unfortunately, our mid lane just got ganked. That's rough. Again, once your crest evolves, your wards evolve into a new one that are available to you for free. Each time you back, you get refreshed 3 new ones, and they can identify enemy stealth wards, and you can destroy those wards and counter ward a lot of the enemy team's wards. You can ward here on Fangtooth, like I mentioned. You can ward here on stairs. Get rid of these wards. And you can ward like a deep pocket right here. So you can see them in the jungle or the staircase. Kind of covers you in all directions. It's really neat. Our carry is doing gold. Our jungler is fighting in the jungle. There's really not much you could do here. You can either go and rotate to help or just kind of slow farm whatever you can and just get some XP, soak up XP. Do whatever you can. Push this up. And then leave. Once your crest evolves, don't worry about like not last hitting anything. Sometimes you can. It's okay to eventually last hit stuff. So we can go all the way to our team. They just got a Q on the right side. More than likely we can attack or prime. And you want to be there for that. You always want to be there for that as a support. There's a mid lane here. That's going to push it up and do some damage to the minions. So by the time they reach the tower, they're going to die on their own. Like I said, this is the best positioning is going to be on the outside, like right here. So if anybody shows up, you just turn around and ult or pull. Typically, as a support, you don't really make a lot of calls. You just kind of follow the calls. So that's a good point to bring up, is that your jungler is going to be mainly the one to initiate objective calls. You may suggest one, but most of the time they're going to follow the jungler's lead or the mid laner's lead, not the support's lead. The support's just there to make sure that the plan they're trying to execute goes flawlessly and successful. Yet, while yes, it is a team game, you want to work together. You'll mainly want to have one dedicated shot caller, and it's mainly going to be the jungle. Like I said, once you're kind of really ahead, now your carry doesn't need as much help, you can kind of rotate with the rest of your team and support the mid laner or the Zinks. But if you do see your carry start to push up really heavily, you really want to go back them up and not leave them by themselves, because they can just get easily picked off, and one stun can change everything. Oh, look at this. We're going to wall them off. Prevent them from dying, let them escape. While I may have died, I kind of did a little bit of damage, prevented them from killing the rest of our team. So as a support, this is kind of your job. It's okay to die sometimes for the greater good, right? You sacrifice your life for the greater sins of your team. Just like that, bam. Now everybody is pretty much wiped on their side, and I'm the only one that died. It took them a while to kill me, and they wasted their resources to kill me. So it just helps the team, and essentially we just win like that. And that's pretty much the support role. There's really not much to it. It's really simple, but just keep those basic functions in mind. Always play around your carry. If your carry is super ahead, it's okay to leave them for like a minute, minute and a half. Go help your jungler, go help your mid lane for a gank. If there's an objective up, always be there. Always be that dividing wall between your team and the enemy team. Always try to go for the squishiest heroes, ult them, pull them. Play a little bit passively or play a little bit aggressive. That really depends on your play style. Play whoever you're comfortable with in the support role. Every support is viable, and there's really no bad support theoretically. While there are counters to each other, you know, it works out if you're perfectly balanced and knowing what to do as a support. And I honestly hope you guys enjoyed the video, and you know, it's really not a big complicated role. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and go check out my live on TikTok and on Twitch. The links will be in the description. If you're interested in checking them out, they'll be down there. Thank you for watching, and catch you next time.